Sup nerds, I'm Tom. Today we're going to talk about what is probably one of the most beautiful games I've ever played, Tang Garden. So Tang Garden is a tile placement game, but with a lot more than that. Tile placement is one of the main mechanics, but you're also drawing cards, placing out these landscape things, putting decorations on the tiles, and obviously, like I said, it is absolutely beautiful, but it also has like layers. So the tile placement is the first thing you do. Essentially, you're building the board out, building the tiles out on the board. Then you place decorations that go on those tiles. Then you can place people on the tiles that look out at all the decorations and the tiles and the landscape tiles, which is the things that get slid in here. It's layers upon layers of different things scoring for other things, if that makes sense. So in saying that this game is layers upon layers and it's, really beautiful, it has a big 3D aspect, so to say. But I don't know. I feel like the 3D aspect is, I don't want to say it's like a gimmick, but it's a bit of an overproduction type of thing where ultimately all of these things could be 2D elements and sort of the scoring and the gameplay would be very similar. I like it. I think it looks great, but I don't think the 3D-ness of the game is specifically unique to the way the game plays. For instance, putting these decorations on the other tiles. First of all, like some of these decorations are these big pavilions and bridges, which again, look great, but they aren't any different in terms of scoring, really, from other decorations that are just tokens, which actually I realize I probably didn't pull out here. I'll post a picture of it or something. But some of those decorations are just like flowers. They're just little tokens that get put on top of the tiles. And then these minis get put out there that look and see other things, but it's not really like anything blocks line of sight. They just see everything that moves forward. So like I could put a guy over here and look all the way over here, and what it could be looking at is all tiles and all flat, even the landscapes. Those could be flat things over here, and it would achieve basically the same effect. Now, I'm not saying this to rag on the fact that it's 3D. I like the fact that it's 3D. I think it looks really great. I'm just making sure that you're aware that the 3D aspect is not specifically unique to the gameplay itself, and like the game wouldn't play the same without the 3D aspect or something like that. Like I think photosynthesis probably does a better job of making the 3D aspect more integral to the gameplay, because like you put a tree that's taller and its shadow covers these other things like that. You know what I mean? Like the height in their function is more functional than it is here, if that makes sense. That being said, there is a lot to like about this game gameplay wise. I don't really love tile placement games in general. I've probably said this in every video where I talk about a tile placement game, but this one has what I like about tile placement games. Sorry, the only type of tile placement games are these ones where it's tile placement plus a bunch of other stuff. Or it's integral to the game, but there's a lot of other aspects that make it, not just. I hate like Carcassonne, where I'm going to stare at one tile and see where exactly is this going to go for the best points possible, and that's pretty much it. And here that's not really true, because certainly placing tiles out there is important for how you score on the tiles. I want to, put green to green so I can move up on the green track on my little player board. I want to put path to path so I can get more coins, which is points. But I also want to set up the board in such a way that I can put this dude out there who's looking out here and it sees, oh, look at all these rocks that he sees. He's going to get a lot of points for that. Or a lot of combo-y things too. So I'm going to put, this one here, which opens up a landscape, which gives me a landscape token, so I can place one of these landscape tiles in here sideways. And the way it lines up, I will get a green, and then I'll also line up 2 footpaths, which means I can get 2 coins, or I could forego those 2 coins to get a different color. So I'm going to get any one wild color. Oh, that moves all of my tracks up to this space here, where I can get a new character, a new person. Hey, I'm going to get this new person and put him here, looking out over here at the landscape tile that I just put out there. Lots of cool combos like that. That's a great aspect. Also, I like how the decorations score in different ways. There's 2 like little pairing ones where if you get the 2 different flowers together, or fish and birds together, you get points. But then there's like these pavilions are whoever has the most gets points. Trees are the set collection of trying to get all the different types of trees, gets you exponentially more points. Or maybe exponential isn't the right word, but you know what I mean. There's also a really cool inverse way of making your choices. So you either choose to pick a tile or to draw cards, decoration cards, these. There's 4 stacks of tiles and they're face up. If I pick a tile and go and place it, we don't flip up the other tile underneath there. We keep it face down. So like it's possible that it comes to your turn and there's only 2 tiles face up. So wait, you got to pick from 4 tiles, and now it's my turn. I have to pick from 2 tiles. I have less choices. Well, inversely, the cards that you draw for the decorations, you always draw 2 plus 1 for each face down stack of tiles. So yeah, you got to pick from 4 tiles, but if you had drawn cards, you would only get 2. Now it's my turn. I only get to pick from 2 tiles, but if I choose to draw cards, I'll get to draw 4. I like the way that they kind of are inverse there. But I do have some complaints with the game. I mean, I think it is overall really fun. Like, it's not amazing. I don't know if I'd say I love it. I'm probably close to loving it. You know, again, a lot of cool combos that you can pull off. The gameplay is really fun. Really excited to play it again, you know. I don't know if I'm quite to loving it yet. I don't really think I have any problems gameplay-wise. Like, it is what it is, and it's just going to hit a person the way that it hits it. You know, there's no single aspect that I dislike. You know, like, everything works, everything flows together. It just really has to see with the personality type that you have, you know, to where it's going to mix in with the game. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, you're going to like it or love it or hate it. Like, there's no like, ooh, if this wasn't in there like this, I would have liked the game more. You know, I don't feel that way at all. A lot of my complaints are semi-component wise. So first of all, I think all of the iconography on the board could have been like bigger or more obvious. I actually played a whole game where I didn't realize that there's a different symbol on the board for placing a decoration in the water versus placing a bridge. So I was placing bridges on water spaces, not realizing that there's a specific space on certain tiles where you to place a bridge. And I also think the bridge, I guess this might be a single gameplay complaint, is that the bridges are a little weak. Like, I mean, I guess obviously they've played it more than I have, so maybe they understand balance a little bit better, but you only get 2 points per bridge, and you get a wild moving up on your thing, which there are times when that could be super significant, and you can move up and you know, get a combo, but 2 points is pretty low compared to like some of the other, and there's no combos with them. Like, you don't get, you know, more points per bridges, just 2 points per bridges. I was kind of looking at it thinking, oh, I don't know, this should probably be 3 points maybe. I mean, I don't know. I was just thinking that bridges were a little weak. But then again, granted, if your last-ditch effort, your last turn, just drawing cards, digging for that last tree or something that you need, I would take a bridge over like a fish, because a fish is 0 unless it's paired with the birds. You know what I mean? So yeah, the iconography, unlike the cards, like the way that they score, and the landscape tiles, they're all really tiny. Like, okay, I get that the color of the character, right, is also going to be the color of the symbol on the landscape tiles that they get points for. Well, this guy gets 5 points if he's looking at it for each dragon he's looking at, right? Well, he's also red, and the dragons are red, but there are these little circles up in the corner. And I know that they did that to keep the game more beautiful. It just feels like they could have gone a little bit bigger with it, because especially on these decorations, like, I mean, again, after you play the game, you get it and you know what you're looking for. But initially, I'm just looking at that. I'm like, that is so tiny, you know? Was that necessary? I mean, I don't know. It's catch-22, because then the game looks less wonderful and beautiful when the iconography is so much bigger and it looks more like a game instead of looking like just a nice, beautiful garden. But I did find a little bit of an issue with that. And also, the component quality is both great and a little disappointing, because like these pavilions, I mean, they look awesome on the board. They have this hard plastic on top and on bottom. Sometimes they can fall apart a little bit. But speaking of falling apart, like some of these tiles, the landscape tiles and stuff, and the trees, they're starting to peel back a little bit. It's like the punch board has like a thin layer of like plastic on it, I think, to help keep it intact. But they're slowly peeling off like a little bit. And I just feel like putting these landscape tiles in and out of this board, because they slide into these little holes, like that's going to degrade pretty quickly. Like, just looking at it, I mean, it's already starting to degrade. And I mean, I've probably pushed this in and out a decent amount. But, you know, I mean, a game like this is, of course, going to degrade. It's just the speed at which it's going to degrade is probably higher, because it is the way that it is. You know what I mean? And also the insert is a little bit annoying too. Like, everything fits in there, but it's like really tight. You have to put everything away just perfect to make it fit in there. I guess it's kind of like a necessary evil, because, you know, again, with these pavilions, you really don't want these just sitting in a well where they can bounce around. I don't know, it just makes teardown time a little bit longer. So I don't think the game is perfect. I do like it a lot. It's beautiful. I enjoy the gameplay. I have a lot of fun with it, and I want to play it again. You know, it's just I was just a bit more excited for it. You know, I was kind of thrilled, especially because like I had a buddy who backed it, and I was like, oh, is there something? Why did you back it? Is there something really special about it? He's like, yeah, it's this really cool thing where like you start building things up, and then you look through. I was like, oh wow, that sounds really complicated and cool. And yet again, that whole looking through thing isn't, you know, really specifically attached to the 3D aspect of the game. I felt like I, you know, was a little bit oversold it, and then it fell short to me. Now, obviously, that is specifically for me. Like, people do that. Oh, you're going to love this movie, Tom. And then I watch it, I'm like, well, it didn't live up to the hype that you built it up for me specifically, you know. So maybe I can't hold that against the game, you know. If any of what I was talking about in this video sounds interesting to you, I'm going to put a purchase link to this game in the description box down below. You can go ahead and get yourself a copy. Also, in the description box down below, there's going to be a link for Game Toppers, and there's also going to be a little button that says subscribe. I highly recommend you click on that button, because that way you will never be bored.